What if I told you that the path to your first $1 million does not require a startup, a viral moment, a lucky investment, or a salary most people will never see? What if the most reliable road to $1 million runs straight through the most ordinary thing in the world? A regular 9-to-5 job? Not a six-figure tech salary, not a Wall Street career, just a job. A normal clock-in, clock-out, direct deposit job that millions of people have right now and that millions of people are using to build zero wealth because nobody ever showed them how to use it as the foundation it actually can be. Because here is the truth that the financial content world consistently underserves. The 9-to-5 is not the problem. What you do with the 9-to-5 is the problem. And today, I am going to show you exactly how to turn an ordinary salary into an extraordinary financial outcome, step by step, with real numbers and a plan you can start executing this week. Welcome back. I am Warren, and this channel exists to prove that financial freedom is available to anyone willing to build it the right way. If that is what you are here for, hit that like button right now, subscribe, and let us build your $1 million plan together. Let us start with the fundamental question that this entire video is built around. Is it actually mathematically possible to reach $1 million on an average 9-to-5 salary? The answer is not just yes. It is yes for most people who follow a specific set of behaviors consistently over time. And the math to prove it is not complicated. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the median weekly earnings for full-time workers in the United States sits at approximately $1,143 as of early 2026, roughly $59,000 per year. That is the median, the middle of the pack. And at that income level, with the right system, $1 million is not a fantasy. It is a math problem with a known solution. Let us work through it. The savings rate is everything. The first and most foundational concept in this entire blueprint is one we have touched on before on this channel, but that deserves its full weight here. Your savings rate, the percentage of your take-home income that you consistently save and invest, is a more powerful determinant of your financial outcome than your actual salary. Here is the proof. Two people both earn $59,000 per year in gross income. Person A saves 5% of their take-home pay, roughly $175 per month. Person B saves 20%, approximately $700 per month. Both invest what they save into a diversified index fund that earns a historical average of 7% annually. After 35 years, Person A has approximately $290,000. Person B has approximately $1.1 million, same salary, same investment vehicle, same time horizon. The only variable is the savings rate, and the difference in outcome is $750,000. This is not theoretical, this is arithmetic, and it means that the single most powerful lever available to any 9-to-5 worker who wants to reach $1 million is the deliberate, aggressive, and sustained decision to save a higher percentage of every paycheck than the average person does. Not dramatically higher, not impossibly higher, just consistently higher, and protected by automation so it actually happens. Start with the employer match, every single time. Before anything else in this plan, before any other investment decision is made, the first priority for any 9-to-5 worker is to capture the full employer 401k match if one is available. This is the closest thing to a guaranteed, immediate, risk-free return that exists in personal finance. And the failure to capture it fully is one of the most expensive and most common financial mistakes made by working Americans. If your employer matches 50% of your contributions up to 6% of your salary, and you are earning $59,000 per year, the full match is worth approximately $1,770 per year. That is free money. It is part of your compensation package that you have already earned, and that disappears forever if you do not contribute enough to unlock it. Capture the full match first, always, before you pay down extra debt, before you build a taxable brokerage account, before any other financial priority. The guaranteed 50% return on those dollars, before any investment gain is added, is unbeatable. Max out your tax-advantaged accounts. Once the full employer match is captured, the next priority is to work toward maximizing your tax-advantaged retirement accounts. In 2026, the 401k contribution limit is $23,500 for workers under 50, with an additional catch-up contribution of $8,000 available once you reach 50, for a total of $31,500 annually. The tax advantage of these accounts is not a minor benefit, it is a wealth accelerator. Every dollar contributed to a traditional 401k reduces your taxable income in the year of contribution, effectively giving you a discount on those savings equal to your marginal tax rate. For someone in the 22% federal tax bracket, contributing $23,500 generates approximately $5,170 in immediate tax savings. That is money that would have gone to the government, now going into your retirement account and compounding on your behalf instead. Most 9-to-5 workers cannot immediately jump to maximum contributions, especially if they are starting from a low savings rate. The approach that works is incremental escalation. Increase your contribution rate by 1 or 2 percentage points every 6 months or every time you receive a raise. Do it automatically and do not touch the amount once it is set. Over time, the combination of increasing contributions and compounding returns creates a trajectory that most people cannot believe when they first model it out. Invest in boring, diversified, low-cost index funds. Here is where a lot of people derail their otherwise solid 9-to-5 wealth-building plan. They see the investment account growing, they start reading financial news, they discover individual stocks or speculative assets, and they start making moves that feel exciting, but that statistically work against their long-term outcome. The research on this is overwhelming and consistent. For the vast majority of individual investors, a simple, low-cost, broadly diversified index fund consistently outperforms active stock picking, sector bets, and most alternative investment strategies over long-time horizons. Not because index funds are magical, but because they are cheap, with expense ratios often below 0.05%, and because they eliminate the behavioral mistakes that come with trying to pick winners and time the market. For a 9-to-5 worker building toward $1 million, the investment strategy does not need to be sophisticated. It needs to be consistent and boring. A total market index fund or an S&P 500 index fund contributed to automatically every paycheck held through market ups and downs without panic selling or trend chasing will produce a long-term outcome that the majority of actively managed funds will not match, and will do it at a fraction of the cost. The discipline required here is not the discipline to find the right fund. It is the discipline to stay in the fund when the market drops, when the news is alarming, and when everything in you wants to do something different. That discipline, doing nothing when doing something feels urgent, is one of the most financially valuable skills a 9-to-5 investor can develop. Live on less than you earn and protect the gap. The gap between what you earn and what you spend is where your $1 million lives. Every dollar of that gap, directed into investments, is a dollar that will return multiple times over if given enough time and the right vehicle. Every dollar that closes that gap through lifestyle spending is a dollar that disappears and takes its compounding future with it. This is where the 9-to-5 wealth builder has to make a choice that most people around them will not understand or support. Because the cultural expectation, the deeply ingrained social script, is that your lifestyle should track your income. When you get a raise, you upgrade. When you get a bonus, you spend it. When the car gets old, you finance a newer one. This is what everyone does. And this is why most people who earn reasonable salaries over a 40-year career still retire with far less than they need. Quietly wealthy 9-to-5 workers do the opposite. When their income rises, their savings rate rises with it, while their lifestyle stays relatively stable. They drive paid-off cars past the point where social pressure says they should upgrade. They live in homes that comfortably fit their budget rather than stretching to the maximum the bank approves. They find genuine enjoyment in experiences, relationships, and activities that do not require escalating financial output, and the gap the protected, growing, invested gap between their income and their spending widens every year. This does not mean a joyless life, it means a deliberate one. Every spending decision is made intentionally, not reactively, not to keep up with anyone, and not because it is the next expected step. And over 20 or 30 years, the financial difference between a deliberate lifestyle and a reactive one is not tens of thousands of dollars, it is hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions. Eliminate debt that works against you and redirect every freed dollar. High-interest consumer debt, primarily credit card balances, is the most direct financial enemy of anyone trying to build $1 million on a 9-to-5 salary. Not because debt is inherently evil, but because of the mathematics. A credit card carrying 20% annual interest is growing your debt at a rate that doubles it every 3.5 years if left unaddressed. No investment available to an ordinary investor reliably generates 20% annual returns, which means high-interest debt is mathematically winning the race against your wealth-building efforts for as long as it exists. The 9-to-5 Millionaire Blueprint requires eliminating high-interest consumer debt with urgency, not eventually, not gradually over minimum payments, but with a specific, structured strategy. List every debt by interest rate. Attack the highest rate first with every additional dollar available, while maintaining minimum payments on everything else. As each debt is eliminated, redirect the freed-up payment amount immediately into your investment accounts. The payment does not disappear. The destination changes. This redirection is critical. It is the mechanism by which the elimination of debt converts directly into wealth-building momentum. And the person who pays off a $400 monthly credit card payment and then immediately redirects that $400 into their retirement account has effectively given themselves a $400 per month investment contribution without earning an additional dollar of income. Done consistently, this single behavior can add hundreds of thousands of dollars to a long-term financial outcome. Use time as your most powerful asset. Everything in this blueprint depends on one non-negotiable resource: time. And the most important financial decision a 9-to-5 worker can make. More important than which fund to choose, more important than the specific amount they save, more important than almost any other variable, is the decision to start. Today. Not after the next raise. Not after the debt is fully paid. Not when things settle down. Now. Here is what that urgency means in real numbers. A 25-year-old who invests $300 per month into a diversified index fund earning 7% annually will have approximately $914,000 by age 65. They will have crossed the $1 million threshold at 66. A 35-year-old starting with the same monthly investment will have approximately $360,000 at 65. To match the outcome of the person who started 10 years earlier, the 35-year-old would need to invest approximately $820 per month, nearly 3 times as much, for the same result. Time is not just a factor in this plan. For a 9-to-5 worker without access to large windfalls or dramatically escalating income, time is the plan. It is the resource that makes modest, consistent contributions produce extraordinary outcomes. And every year that passes without beginning is a year of compounding that can never be reclaimed, regardless of how much more is invested later. The 9-to-5 salary gives you the income. The system we have built in this video gives you the strategy. And time, started as early as possible, protected as carefully as possible, gives you the result. Here is the complete blueprint. Save an aggressive percentage of every paycheck, starting with enough to capture your full employer match. Work toward maximizing tax-advantage contributions every year. Invest consistently in low-cost, diversified index funds and stay the course through market volatility. Protect the gap between your income and your spending like it is the most valuable thing you own. Because it is. Eliminate high-interest debt with urgency and redirect every freed dollar into investments. And start as early as humanly possible, because time is the engine that makes everything else work. $1 million on a 9-to-5 salary is not an accident. It is not luck. And it is not reserved for the top earners or the most financially sophisticated people in the room. It is a mathematical outcome, the predictable result of a specific set of behaviors executed consistently over enough time. It is available to almost anyone, and it is available to you. The only question is whether you will build the system or keep waiting for a moment that feels like the right time to start. Drop a comment below and tell me what your first move is going to be after watching this video. I read every single one, and if this gave you the plan you have been looking for, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with someone who is working a 9-to-5 and does not yet realize what it can actually build. I am Warren, and I will see you in the next one.